Good morning, everyone. It is Talk About Tuesday. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. How's that sound? Keaton, first on here. How are you, Keaton? I heard you had already graduated college. Congratulations, man. You should come talk to me. All right, Keaton, tacos, Talk About Tuesday. All right, Colleen, happy to talk about Tuesday. Nick, good morning. Let's get the questions rocking and rolling. Jake, the bake, and LFG Mikey, that is let's go. If anyone wants my book, ebook, audiobook, want me to sign a book and send it to you, I will pay for everything, shipping everything. Just email me. I pin it below right here, david@dmeltzer.com. You can also find my text message there as well. Adam, I'll be with you in about 2 minutes. I see you there. Make sure your IG is updated. We've had a few people, for whatever reason, can't go live because their IG is not updated. It's always a pleasure to see everyone here. Susanna, let's get one question in, and then we'll see where our friend is. Thank you, Blaine. All right. How important is recovery for entrepreneurs? Well, recovery is important for everyone. I equate it to my unwinding routine. So tomorrow starts today at 9 p.m. I unwind at 9 p.m. by putting my body, mind, and soul in a position of recovery so I can plateau and grow the next day. See, most people live their life as a tube. Feed out, food out, just your tube, paycheck to paycheck. Every day, starting at the bottom of the hill, pushing your boulder to the top just so it can fall down. Jason Waller, the super baller, bam, what's going on? He is the superstar of our TV series, 2 Minute Drill, and wait till you see him on Office Hours. He is the Ed McMahon of all Ed McMahons, except for he looks a lot more ripped. But we're looking for Word 2 Season 3 and Season 2s, and we'll get on the phone, and that guy is a superstar. If you're not following Jason, the Baller Waller, the Bam Bam Man, he's right there, Jason Waller Bam. And he lived in a trailer home. He's the Eminem of solar. His company is going to be worth over $1 billion by the end of the year. I think he's at about 800 million. Don't quote me on it, but it's a lot because he's successful. Bam, bam. Jason Waller, always here with Rob Dyrdek, another superstar, the master of time. Anyway, we are going to add our friend Adam here. He is Yatta Savings CEO, co-founder, and talking about the financial side of things. There he is. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, David. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Well, I do a lot in financial literacy, do a lot in the space with Marshall Faulk as my partner in a partnership that we have. But Yatta makes what I think is the superpower of making money fun. And that's something that I learned early on and wish I'd listened to. My grandma said, if you save 10% of everything you ever make, you'll never have to work by the time you're 50. And she was probably wrong, because it would have been about 25 for me. And I never would have had to work again. But I didn't understand savings. There wasn't people like you around to make it fun. Give me a little bit of background on Yatta and how you're inspiring people to save.
Yeah, so Yatta is basically a savings account where instead of earning, a tiny amount of interest like you would at a traditional bank, you earn tickets to win prizes every week through kind of a fun social number drawing. It feels like a lottery, but it's really a sweepstakes kind of behind the scenes. And so the idea is, instead of putting away an amount of money and maybe getting depends how much you put away, but a small amount of guaranteed interest every year, every week you have the chance to win anywhere from 10 cents to a $10 million jackpot. And the idea is, half of Americans have hardly any savings. You've probably seen those statistics. At the same time, people spend over $80 billion on lottery tickets in the U.S., which is pretty much the worst kind of financial decision. I don't think it's necessarily illogical, but from a purely mathematical perspective, you lose more than 50% of what you put in on average. And so we're trying to provide instant gratification to saving, which otherwise has been something that pays off in the long run, but is difficult in the short run. which is why, among other reasons, it's difficult for people to adopt the habit, and vice versa. Playing the lottery is instantly gratifying, even if in the long run it's detrimental. So we're trying to kind of flip savings on its head by providing that instant gratification so that people get the long run benefit.
Yeah, it's funny because negative behavior works in the favor because of that instant gratification. Now, what's your financial background? Where did you learn about, the oldest financial success story called savings, compound interest? From Einstein talks about compound interest. Warren Buffett talks about compound interest. Rockefellers and the family banks talk about compound interest. All, believe it or not, are just a different way of saying save your money, fool. So where did you learn the math behind saving your money?
I went to undergrad business school, so I majored in finance and accounting, so kind of was always exposed to finance. But funnily enough, when you
Where'd you
major
go
in
to school? Just curious.
Wharton.
Never heard of it. All right. See, I knew when a guy's too humble to tell you where he went to school, it's usually either Harvard or Wharton or somewhere like that. Just so you know, they rejected me. Yeah, they let me speak there now.
They're lost. They're lost.
My brother went there. He likes to rub that in. All my siblings got into all the schools that rejected me, but they actually studied. So studying's another lesson I learned later on in life. I'm just a late bloomer. I resisted all the good advice like study and save. And I went the other route into drugs and alcohol and partying. But I learned later in life that studying and saving is way better.
Hopefully you didn't play the lottery, or maybe you did.
No,
One of
no.
those
For some
places.
reason, the lottery never. I love the fact that you understand the emotional aspect of how people buy. People buy on emotion for logical reasons, and you've instituted the best part of the emotional attachment to the lottery to saving. That's absolutely genius.
Well, it's interesting. It was, I went to Wharton undergrad, studied finance and accounting, but oddly enough, they don't really teach you personal finance, which is funny. You learn all of these intellectual ways to, value companies and things that really you don't need in the real world for most everyday life. But I've always had an inherent interest in personal finance and behavioral psychology. And so just from, reading stuff online or reading books on the psychology side, I don't know if you're familiar with Thinking Fast and Slow and books like Nudge and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the behavioral psychology aspect that I think gave me the understanding of how people think and behave with regard to money, which can be often the most illogical in terms of human behavior. And then the personal finance stuff was, oddly enough, not really academic. It was more just a personal interest of mine.
And what about discipline and habits, like James Clear, Atomic Habits, or because obviously one of the things I have found clearly relative to compound interest and savings and utilizing this emotional aspect, the psychological aspect of being able to allow your money to grow. I use a pond analogy that if you had a pond and you were doubling, it starts with one lily and you double it and it was supposed to take 20 years to fill up the pond, it would be 18 years before it would be 25% full. 19 years, it would be 50% full. In 20 years, it's 100% full. And in year 21, you need 2 ponds. That's what savings does. The problem is people don't have the patience, discipline, and habits to get to year 18 where they can become aware that, oh my goodness, the saving thing really works. I can see over the next 10 years, I'm going to be one of the richest people I know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, people are bad at exponential math in their heads and visualizing what that looks like. Like you said, compounding over time. We're good at addition, subtraction, all those things, but we find it very hard to understand or at least wrap our heads around the power of compounding, which is part of the problem. And the other part of the problem, again, is I think it's why people play the lottery. People generally want to do things that are short run, fun, exciting, and they don't think 20, 30 years down the road. For example, you talk to a lot of lottery players, and again, I'm not arguing that playing lottery is illogical. There's a value to it in terms of emotion, fun, it's entertainment. But some people don't view it that way, and they view it as an investment in their future. And they're like, oh, it's only $2 a week. Whatever, $10 a week. Well, if you do the math, $10 a week is $500 a year. Over 30 years is 15 grand, which you're likely losing money on. Whereas if you put that money in, call it a savings account, maybe an ETF, not only you're not losing money, but you're probably compounding that money, and you might have 3x by 30 years from then. So it's both those things. So it's kind of the perfect storm of psychological human issues, if that makes sense, the savings problem.
And it has an extraordinary social impact, right? Like people are starting to catch on to how do we blend the irrational, emotional aspects of things that are not good for us into the things that are good for us. And we see that through education with gaming. Here, you've taken your experience as a project manager and data analyst for Goldman Sachs, figured out as you built a consumer-facing app, how can I utilize what I've learned in order to effectuate something for the greater good? And there's no doubt that if we can teach people exponential growth and compound interest and savings, somebody asked what the name of the company, it's Yatta, Y-O-T-T-A savings, at Yatta Savings, with yatta.com, Y-O-T-T-A, just so people have that out there. What piece of advice would you give entrepreneurs who may feel as if they have to go all in, they can't pay themselves first, they can't save anything because they believe 100% in what they're doing as far as an entrepreneurial venture? What do you tell them or anyone that thinks, I'll save later, why should I save now?
Well, if you have 100% conviction in an entrepreneurial idea, I would make sure you're always questioning your assumptions. There's been some things we've thought would be 100% true about our understanding of even our users after having hundreds of thousands at this point that end up being wrong. So just look at the stats. I mean, the top investors in the world, whether it's the Andreessen Horowitz's in venture capital, they have do all the diligence, all the expertise, and their success rate on companies is what, 5% maybe? So to believe you have a 100% chance of success is in some ways delusional. I mean, you want to have that, but you also have your life to live, and so you want to make sure you have a plan B for your personal life, I guess, especially with regard to your finances. And so I would always have a plan B, especially if it's your plan A is you think 100% chance you're going to succeed with an entrepreneurial endeavor. That's probably the riskiest of endeavors, let alone you might be in a stable career, then there's still risk associated with that. But just starting out in entrepreneurship is probably the opposite of the stable career path.
I always tell people it's amazing, if you had $20 million and invested $2 million into 10 different companies and one was successful, which is higher rate of success than an Andreessen or, a Sequoia or, Tim Draper or any of the guys that I hang out with. But, if you just hit one of your 10, and it goes to, even if it goes to 40 million, not even 100 or higher, it's amazing how everybody thinks you're a huge success.
Right.
And literally you're worse than the worst baseball player of all times, right? You're batting 100, let alone 50%, like some of these guys. So I think that's super important. I am just a huge fan of what you're doing. I'd love to partner with you, with Marshall Faulk and myself, and have you be part of our program for financial literacy. It's nice for you to have the humility to say, look, even at Wharton, we're not teaching people how to be financially literate. That's how I lost over $100 million, because I didn't understand the things that you're teaching. Like I said, I wish Yatta was around and other people teaching me the importance of how savings works and compound interest works. Thank you so much, Adam. Adam Wallace, he is the co-founder and CEO of Yatta. Check it out, Yatta Savings and with yatta.com. Anywhere else you want people to reach out, or are those two good?
Those two are the best. If you have any questions, you can email me, adam@yatta.com as well.
Awesome, man. Congratulations, and thank you for the impact you're having on everyone. Yep. We need more Adams in the world. Take care.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
You're awesome. Thanks.
Bye.
I love a great entrepreneur that's helping other people, and for me, savings is a great start for everyone. I say pay yourself first. Make sure that you detach your emotions from your savings as well as your investments, as well as your investments in yourself. Know your timing and risk tolerance. If you are young, and I'm talking anywhere under 40, and you're not saving, you're making a big mistake, because that exponential growth, that pond example, 20 years, 40 to 60, 30 to 50, 20 to 40, if you save correctly, you're talking about multi-millions of dollars with tax benefits as well. So we're all good. We'll take Jeff and Fernie here with the Vet Noir HQ co-founders. There he is. What's going on, Jeff?
Pretty good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Am I supposed to add Fernie or just you today?
I think just myself. Yep.
All right, good. You're good enough for me. I've heard Fernie is a little bit better, but I'll stick with you. That's fine.
Hey, appreciate you spending time with me today, and appreciate all the knowledge you're giving out here. I'm getting a lot of great insight today.
Well, you're another person that's having an impact in which I've worked on almost my entire career. I've worked with the Clemente family, with Jackie Robinson, of course, Warren Moon being my business partner, putting on and understanding how we create equity. I want equal opportunity for everyone. That's it. And I find my biggest challenge today is I don't know what words to use. So I have been forced in order to say, how would you like me to address you? Because the words have all changed, but my intent has not. Obviously, Event Noir is premier ticketing platform for Black events. And you guys have been working with Mountain Dew with their Real Change Opportunity Fund and won that thing. Give me a little bit of background on where you're at right now with Event Noir HQ.
Well, we're excited. Thank you very much to Mountain Dew. We just raised some money there. We closed our pre round, and we just got great news that we were accepted into TechStars, one of the premier tech accelerators. So we're working through that for the next 13 weeks. Our team's coming together. We're hiring some software engineers. We're working on really expanding and driving growth for the platform. Also getting ready to launch our seed round later on in next month. So.
And, I think as far as creating equity, opportunity, and options for everyone, your company allows for that to happen, right? We're providing people in America, the Black communities, the Black businesses, a way in order to raise their awareness, exposure, help charities that they particularly want to help, as well as create revenue. Basically, your business is completely aligned with making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. What are some of the challenges as you're offering these software solutions to event planners and registrars? What are some of the challenges that, a middle-aged white man who has great intent for equity and inclusion, what are some of the challenges that I just don't know about or I may not know about?
Definitely just really a lack of access to capital. That's really what the Real Change Opportunity Fund was about. We know that less than 1% of VC funds go to Black startups, right? And when you talk about female founders as well, you see the same barriers. So it's really about surrounding yourself and bringing people on your team who are representative of the world around us. The world's becoming more diverse, and the more diverse folks that you have on staff or just friends or folks that you have that you can rely on for information, the more diverse mindset and thoughts that you're going to have. And that just leads to a better organization. So one thing that, we like to share and talk about often is just the fact that the Black dollar stays in the Black community for 6 hours compared to 28 days in some communities. So there's not a lack of talent within diverse communities. There's just a lack of access to resources. And so that's one of the things that we're always battling. We spent 2020 building an event tech platform during a pandemic, right? And the Black communities was severely affected both by health and financially by the pandemic, as everyone was, but it was disproportionately impacted by us because we tend to be service workers and shift workers. And so fundraising in a pandemic really prepared me for the competition because I had already pitched over 75 investors that had told me no. And so there's what happens with Black startups is that we are over-advised and underfunded. And all we need is the capital to be able to do some amazing things because we're building. And so it's a great time right now. I call it the roaring 20s, right? It's like back in the 1920s, there's this big surge of people stepping outside. The economy is performing well. And it's really about us making sure that we leverage this opportunity to learn more about each other. And as you said, it's about culture sensitivity, to really just having more empathy and understanding somebody else's journey and how it's different and really enlighten us all.
That's amazing. And do you have a question for me that I can help you with?
Yeah, 100%. So we are the event startup that essentially looks to recycle dollars back into the creative economy, focusing on the Black creative economy, which is under-resourced. As a startup that's really being resilient and coming back after a horrible year in 2020 when the event industry was heavily impacted, what's your advice for any businesses that are in the event business, right, that are coming back from the pandemic, to really make sure that we get the surge in growth that we're looking to get after a bad year where revenue declined, especially as you think about things like potentially a second pandemic and things like that.
That's so smart. So as an event company, as any other company wants to rebound, what we want to do is initially look within your company. Look for the skills that you guys have, the knowledge of not only what you have, but who you know, and your specific desire. See how your skills, knowledge, and desire are aligned with, supplementary to, or synergistic with what events are doing well now, right? There's certain events that are already doing well now, virtual events and live events. Then see what events are stable, right? Some events just stayed stable through the pandemic. And then see, and it doesn't have, it can be colorblind because you can always apply your specific community to a certain event that's doing well or stable. And then in particular, make sure you look at your skills, knowledge, and desire and see how it's aligned, supplementary, or synergistic to what you feel is going to be doing well in the future. So for example, I built a studio with Blue Wire at the Wynn Hotel, right? Because I know the gambling and sports in Vegas are going to be doing well in the future. I also have the Super Bowl here in Los Angeles. So I have an office and studio in my suite at SoFi because I'm aligned synergistic for my events, at what's going to be a huge roaring 20s with the Super Bowl really in January. Well, it's in February, mid-February, by the way, which is not normal. But mid-February, the Super Bowl is going to be, to me, a true kickoff of events. I think we're going to see by February of 2022, everything's back, 100% everywhere. We're going to go through this Delta variant, and people are going to pick up. I just saw today a statistic: 99.5% of the people that die right now because of COVID, 99.5% are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
So you make your own decision. I'm not forcing vaccination on you because it doesn't affect me, right? It's not. But if you want to stay alive statistically, or you want to protect your parents or whatever, let them know the statistics. Not 97% of the people hospitalized right now because of COVID are not vaccinated. So I don't know the long-term effects of vaccination, but I do know the short-term effect that it's a high risk not to be. Anyway, those numbers make it very clear to me that by January or February 2022, all events are going to be 100% back. Align your skills, your knowledge, and desire to those events that you feel are going to do well, the ones that always do well. Apply your community to it, man. You will kick some serious butt. Let's bring all the money back into opportunity for it. I work with Anita Dyrdek. She has an amazing company. She's a Black woman, one of the few Black women entrepreneurs. Talk about the odds against you, like you said. So let's keep the Black community together. Let's fund the Black community. And look, let's make more money for the Black community so they put more money into the Black community. And whatever color you are, whatever size, shape, or beliefs you have, let's all make more money, help more people, and have more fun. I'm a big fan of making a lot of money because if you have good intentions, it helps everyone. And that's what I love about what you're doing at Event Noir. So thank you so much, Jeff.
David,
I appreciate you.
David, thank you, man. We appreciate it. We're vaccinated and activated out here because we outside. So
You got it. You tell Bernie I missed.
We'll do. I'll see you play in February.
You got it. I'll see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Awesome. Event Noir, check them out. Doing it for their own communities. eventnoir.com, Noire. Woo! All right, man. We always rocking and rolling. Lori, I see you there, girl. Christina Madrigal, I just want to shout you out. If you want that synergistic thing, David at dmeltzer.com. My books, guides, exercises. Remember, David at dmeltzer.com. Reach out to me. I'll sign the book, send it to you, pay for shipping. Let's see here. Gabby, I saw you. Where are you? I want to bring Gabby in. There's so many people here. Thank you so much for all your questions. I'm just looking for Gabby. If you can go ahead and comment again. You were too far back. I know you're here. So go ahead. Gabby, if you can comment, I would appreciate it, and would love to see you here. Give me a I'm here, Gabby. That would help me out. There she goes. I'm viewing the crest. All right. Next up, we have Gabby Cohen, and it's Gabby at Co.
Hi,
There she
David.
is. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
You look like a East Coast poster with that house behind you. It's like perfect.
If I work outside, I work outside. That's my that's
I
my
love it. We work outside here too, inside, outside. It doesn't get any better. Your space is growing, harrys.com. And, I'd love, especially being who I am, your men's grooming product company, which is growing, and you're launched some new brands as well. So taking your experience from some other companies and moving it over to male vanity and male grooming, what has been the biggest challenge that you did not anticipate in this space compared to, for example, Soul Cycle, where you were working before?
I think there's a lot more complexities when you are working with various different retailers, and it's not necessarily a challenge. It's just complexities to the business, right? So we have a DTC business, which is a robust business, and then we have a robust wholesale business that we work in partnership with amazing retailers. And so it's more for me around just like the learning curve, right? I help to run a few different direct to consumer businesses, from Soul Cycle to Rent the Runway. And so once you start to deal with, working with retailers, there's just complexities and a learning curve for me. So I wouldn't say as much challenges as just, it was a real opportunity for learn, how those types of businesses operate and how you partner with them.
And you have always been someone like me that gives back. We talk about making a lot of money to help a lot of people, and you guys donate a great percentage of your sales to nonprofits that help men with therapy and other things to help us, which is so important. And as our mental health resources diminish because the awareness is rising, it's so important to support those. What effect do you really think? I wrote a book called Compassionate Capitalism. I put all my faith in the fact that when we do the right things, I talk about being kind to your future self by doing good deeds, that I don't control time, but I have a full faith that my true currency is my kindness and my giving. And it's not that I give to receive, it's I receive so I can give. What is your philosophy at a corporate level on giving, and what impact does it have internally to the business at Harry's and externally?
That's a great question. And in fact, we launched last week a program called Open Minds, where we're putting out a massive RFP where we'll be donating $5 million to the awarded organization who is really coming up with a game-changing idea around mental health. So that just launched, and applications are open to apply and come up with your biggest game-changing idea that can really change the way that people get taken care of from a mental health perspective. For Harry's, we've always given 1% of all of our sales back to mental health organizations. Started with the Harry's business, and it's really focused around mental health for men. We think that is a rising pandemic that people don't talk about. And certainly men, there's a sense of bravado and masculinity that men feel like they can't talk about needing help or asking for help. And so we felt like it was a real opportunity for us to, to raise awareness and help men who are really seeking the help that they need. But now that we have several other brands that have scaled, they all give back as far as a 1%. So Flamingo gives back. It's really around body inclusivity and body neutrality, and Headquarters as well is another one of our brands that is also giving back the 1%. I think from a corporate perspective, it's part of everything we do. Everything we do has a give back perspective and component. And I think what that does is we attract like-minded people to work for the organization because they really do feel like the work that they're doing is having a real impact. And that's, within every single role. We do a lot of, we call it high five time, where we have, time off to volunteer, and we do grants where you can get, donations to be able to grant money to an organization of your choice. So, it's really, it's woven in the fabric of the organization. And so it's not only how we operate externally, but certainly how we operate.
It's so interesting because in my career, I've gone from what I call an avatar based, and I've been in sales and marketing and CEO of very large companies and world renowned companies. And I was very avatar based. I was the person who could find the exact lowest hanging fruit and address and attack that and communicate with it and market to it and sell to it. And because of social media, because of the access that individual brands and corporate brands have to 7 billion people or so now, for me, I've looked strictly only, which is why Harry's is so attractive to me, for companies and people that have open minds, open hearts, and open hands. And ask them one simple question: do you know anyone that could help me? Now, you're the global head of integrated communications and marketing at Harry's. So most people don't understand the tougher part of your job is not communicating to people like me who already have open minds, open hearts, and open hands and are looking to support companies like Harry. It's actually internally, right? And when you talk about integrated communications and marketing, you have to deal with the communication and the branding and marketing, especially because of social media, of individual executives and egos and differing and diverting opinions and objectives. How do you unite with all of those egos internally to be able to communicate one message, one frequency externally, with all the different mindsets, heart sets, and hand sets that you have to deal with from a very large company?
I'm really lucky, to be honest. Our founders have always had a shared mission and a shared vision, and they've stayed really true to that. And they are about, promoting the Harry's Inc. brand and not necessarily any, personal brand. And I think that has helped. They're really about putting Harry's first. And they're around making change, right? Creating products that people like more. That's our master vision for our Harry's Inc. brand. And that is of utmost importance to them, as well as creating a really inclusive and, culturally vibrant workplace. And so that's really, they're all around promoting the brands and the Harry's Inc. brand. And so for me, it makes my job really easy. The leaders are wonderful to work with. They are all about, promoting the team. We're a we, not an I. So I wish I had any gripes. I have no gripes. It's been really, really easy. We are brand first. We're a brand first mentality, and everyone's aligned to that. And I think that's part of why people come to work here, right? I think that Jeff and Andy have created a really incredible environment that feels supportive, where you have freedom to do your work. There's such a level of trust that we all feel super aligned to the mission, and are proud to stand behind the Harry's name.
Well, I stand behind the Harry's name, and as an endorser, an unpaid influencer for your great brand, because of the effort and the quality products that you have, and of course all the good that you do. And I sometimes inadvertently, I'm also an influencer for you. For example, when I take my shirt off at the beach, I am pure branding for Harry. It'll be a great comedy content for you and your brand. Not completely attractive, but yet still on brand. I appreciate everything that you do. Obviously, you can find Harry's and their brands everywhere, and they're launching Flamingo, so check that out. And I just want to thank you once again for all you're doing for mental health and supporting what is a pandemic that is a lot of times unspoken. And I myself have learned so much about that through CTE, through my own personal journey at 53 years old, of things that never knew impacted me from my childhood. So please, anyone out there, reach out for help, and let's thank Harry for all they do. Come back and visit me again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care. Awesome.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Oh, Gabby's awesome. And yeah, big issues for everyone. And therapy's okay. And go seek help. That's what I always say. Go give help and seek help. Ask for help. It's one of the theme songs of David Meltzer, as well as being Harry. I am kind, and I seek kindness and to give kindness. David@dmeltzer.com. Reach out to me if you want my book, ebook, audiobook. If you want me to sign and send a book to you, I'm more than happy to do that. Reach out to me. I'll pay for it. Don't worry. I'll ship it to you personally from me. Not a problem. All right, I'm going to take one more question. We had some great guests today. There's so many questions here. Looking to see where we're at. How do you celebrate the wins and stay focused on getting better? Well, I have a philosophy of enjoying the consistent everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of my potential. Wins are milestones. They're not finish lines. So when I see a victory, it's a milestone but yet it's not a finish line. I haven't attached my emotions to it. I simply have attached my energy in motion towards the pursuit of my potential, and my potential keeps on moving. So the wins are the milestones, and I celebrate equally the lessons that I learn as well as the milestones that I pass. And I think it's very difficult for a lot of people to believe or achieve the ability to celebrate the lessons. Because in order to celebrate the lessons, you would have to understand and celebrate setbacks, failures, mistakes, and pain, which is counterintuitive to human nature. That is somehow indicative of disappointment or failure, separation, or inferiority, where actually it is a recognition and acknowledgement of your potential. When you have make mistakes or setbacks or failures, it's an acknowledgement of your potential. It itself is a milestone that should be celebrated. Be a celebrant, not a celebrity. What a fantastic question to end up with. I appreciate everyone every day for taking the time with me. Please join me every day here. It's Talk About Tuesdays. What do you want to talk about? We'll love to talk about it and share the lessons, the love, and the light here. Remember, most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be more Good News Wednesday.